Radio Cambridgeshire.
Now, our next story is, we're going to take it easy, this one, for reasons that will become very, very obvious. An inquiry into the government's handling of the coronavirus pandemic has been opened this week. And to talk about it, we're going to chat to Anne, who lives in Streatham near Ely. Her husband, Andrew, had a serious heart condition and very limited mobility. He was admitted into a care home in February 2020, obviously just before the pandemic officially started. Sadly, he died earlier this week. Anne still, incredibly, is on with us this morning. Anne, good morning. Firstly, please accept not just my condolences from everyone here, and I am sure everyone listening. Are you sure you're okay to chat to us this morning?
Yes, I'm absolutely fine. Andrew would want me to do that.
Well, then we shall do it for him and make sure we do a darn good job of it, Anne.
Okay.
So anytime you want to stop or take a break, please, it's fine, okay? We'll take it nice and easy, Anne.
Yeah, fine.
So Andrew had a heart condition and he was in a care home. Tell us a little bit about that and what happened.
Okay, so in December 2019... he was in hospital for a long while. He got sepsis and was very, very unwell. And while he was there, they discovered that he had ongoing heart failure, and that affected everything about him, particularly his moving, and to an extent his clarity of thinking. So he was finding it difficult, and he was quite difficult to look after. So we made the decision for him to go into a care home near us, and the plan was that I and the dog and everybody else could go and see him every day, and the difference would be that he would be looked after properly rather than by me. So that was the plan.
And also, I guess, and I say this with someone in my family who's about to go into a care home, it also takes a lot of the burden and responsibility off you, Anne. So actually you can maintain your marriage and the nice bits of your relationship and not the bits that would put pressure on you.
Yeah. And the thing is, with social care, they give you all sorts of help during the day. You know, they send in carers every 4 hours or whatever it is, but it stops at night. Yeah. And most accidents with people in that sort of condition happen at night because their partners, carers, can't cope.
Yeah.
And that was exactly what I was fearing with Andrew.
And also, it's the scary, lonely part of the day, isn't it, at night?
Absolutely.
And that's when you're really alone.
Yeah.
So how was it at the beginning? I'm guessing probably relief that you knew he was in really safe hands.
Absolutely. And so this was about 3 weeks before the first lockdown.
Right.
And there was no sense that was coming when he went in there. And so for those 3 weeks, it was fine. I went in once or twice a day, had lunch with him, the dog could come, all of that. And then there was the lockdown and the shutters came down, quite literally.
And how was that communicated to you? Did they have time to sort of send an official sort of notice to all residents? Did you turn up one day and realise that you weren't getting in?
No, we were sent an email.
Right.
And there was a big sign on the door saying the home is locked till further notice.
And when was that further notice? When did you finally get to go back and be with him face to face again?
I think it was about 3 months. But even then, it wasn't face to face. It was either through the window or because it was summer by then, so in the garden of the home. But it was at two ends of a long table with a screen and a member of staff on guard to stop you daring to touch.
Goodness.
It was awful.
And I'm so sorry. So tell us, what was it like when there was the lockdown? Were you able to FaceTime?
We did do FaceTime. I mean, he wasn't brilliant with the technology, but we were able to do that, and that was a real lifesaver, actually. And he could also see the dog.
And Andrew,
was the most important.
Oh well, I mean, yeah. Let's be honest. We all know where we stand when it comes to being behind the pets, don't we? So listen, Andrew, you say he didn't have it? It was heart failure and maybe muddled, I guess, slightly foggier thinking because of the heart failure, but he didn't have dementia. It got worse.
Dementia, but in the last weeks, and he died last Wednesday, in the last weeks, I think as his heart got weaker, quite clearly, if you're not getting the oxygen being pumped to your brain, your brain's not going to work properly. So he did eventually have a lot of hallucinations and very, very muddled thinking.
So in the first part of lockdown with the FaceTiming and the video calls, did he understand why the situation was as it was? Did he have enough understanding to realise that you hadn't deserted him? He knew what was going on.
I'm not sure, because for him and all the other residents, their lives just carried on.
Yeah.
You know, the staff were coming in and out. The staff were chatting about their families and what they were doing, but nobody else was allowed to go in and see him. And he blamed me. He was very resentful.
And that was hard for you, Anne.
It was awful, because it wasn't fair.
No. And how did you have support around you, family, neighbours, just to give you a bit of TLC, albeit over the phone?
We were all isolating, weren't we?
But I mean, did you have people you could text or FaceTime with, or?
Oh, yeah. I mean, you know, and we did a lot of family Zoom calls.
Of course, yeah.
And you know, and I think a lot of people will have found this, that I developed very, very deep friendships with my friends because we had regular Zooms, which we still do. So for me, I did have support, but he could be quite horrid about it. You know, why haven't you come, and why hasn't the dog come?
Yeah. So he it wasn't really going in as to why that it was government rules.
Not really.
And when the world opened up again and things went back to normal, did he forget about that distance and about the PPE and the not being able to get close?
We had to keep using the PPE until quite recently.
Right.
And we still have to wear masks going in, anyone going in to work. Well, of course, what happened was that the minute I got into his room recently, I just took it off. Because he was quite deaf, so he depended on lip reading to quite a considerable degree. You can't do that through a mask.
And recently, Anne, so the last few months or so, did you feel that the issues around lockdown and the anger that he had dissipated? Did normality come back for him? Was it sort of, well, that's over now and it was in the past? Yeah, I don't think he thought about it anymore, which was a blessing. And so you felt that, you know, the warmth of your relationship returned. Yeah, but I mean, I think it did irreparable damage to families. Maybe not to those individuals. I don't think Andrew thought about it really. Every so often they would have a couple of cases of COVID in the home, and then they tried to lock down again, or they made it very difficult. But you know, I was already known as a troublemaker, I think. So I always got in, because for a period there was someone who could be designated the essential caregiver. Which is one individual who could always go in regardless, and I made sure that I got that. So, Anne, there's going to be an inquiry. How do you feel about it? Are you hopeful that something's going to come of it, or do you think, well, you know, it can't really do any good now because, you know, we're sort of almost back to normal? I think it's useful to look back and see what could have been done better, and there is no doubt that a lot could have been done better. This won't be the last pandemic. They need to learn ways of keeping people safe without destroying relationships and families. So I think it's a useful exercise, definitely. And Anne, I really don't want to go into it because I don't want to put you in the spot, but how are you doing? Because this was quite unexpected, wasn't it? The passing of Andrew this week. It was, actually. And it's come at a very difficult time because my mother died a few weeks ago. Now Andrew has died, and I'm moving in 2 weeks from Cambridge to Oxford. So it's all at once. Is there anything that we can do? Because I know for a fact that there will be people listening this morning who have been through exactly what you've been through, albeit in maybe different circumstances, and they will want to offer their support. Is there anything that you need or that we can do? I think I'm quite organised, actually. Hang on a minute. I wasn't planning on asking listeners to come and help you move, Anne, because there's health and safety galore with problems with that. I think, by being organised, I think that's the trick to managing anything, isn't it? Yeah. So but knowing that people care and they send their love and all that sort of thing, that's absolutely amazingly uplifting. And
we'll do it. His funeral's going to be in the cathedral in Ely.
Goodness me, what a send-off!
On the 18th of August, so anyone is welcome to come.
Wow. I mean, was Andrew quite the man about town, Anne? Because not everybody gets a funeral at Ely Cathedral.
Well, that's where I go to church, because it's just down the road from here. And I must say the cathedral clergy have been wonderful.
Yeah, they're pretty special,
really
aren't
wonderful. They are special. We're very lucky to be able to do that. So that's on the 18th of August, hopefully to be confirmed. So I was just busy writing out some ideas for music and readings and things before you rang.
Well, listen, Anne, it goes without saying that we are all thinking of you, and I know there's going to be listeners getting in touch wanting to send their best, and just be kind to yourself, because somebody once said something to me about grief, and I thought that is the best thing I've ever heard. And they compared it to surfing. They're like, some days you're riding the waves and you're doing okay, and then some days you're drowning, and on the days where you're drowning, you just have to crack on and come out the other side. And I know, and also, Anne, please reach out when you move to Oxford. Please, I mean, I shouldn't really say this because they're like our rivals, but they're not really, but because it's BBC. But don't be afraid to reach out to the community in BBC Radio Oxford, because they will look after you as well.
Yeah, and I do think that there's an awful lot that needs to be changed and heightened in care homes and social care generally. And that's, I've been very involved with a group called Rights for Residents, and they are ongoing campaigners for literally better rights for residents in care homes. So I'm not going to drop that.
Well, it sounds like you are a professional troublemaker, as you say, Anne. I like that enormously. We are thinking of you, Anne. Please, if you do need anything, get in touch, because, of course, we know everybody around here, so don't be alone.
Okay, thank you so much.
I cannot thank you enough for coming on this morning, considering everything. And you've been through a lot, Anne, so do be kind to yourself, okay?
Yeah, will do. Thank you.
All right, it's a pleasure to chat to you, Anne, genuinely, because obviously it's wonderful of you to come on. That's Anne there, near Ely. Right, it's 8:20.